Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today I'm going to be reviewing some more cards from the upcoming Set 10 Whispers in the Well. As usual, I've fallen way too behind, so I'm going to get straight into things. A shout out to the channel sponsor, Cardmarket. If you're looking for Lorcana singles at competitive rates, then check out Cardmarket. But yeah, I'm not sure I'll get through every card that's been revealed that I haven't looked at, haven't reviewed yet, but we'll do as much as we can, aim for about 45 minutes. I want to start off with this one. We have Emily Quackfaster, Level-Headed Librarian. She's a 2-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 1 and recommended reading. When you play this character, you may put the top card of your deck face down under one of your characters or locations with boost. So this card makes us completely change the way we look at pretty much all the characters with boost. Any of the Whispers who are boost 3 or potentially above in the future, suddenly we are essentially lowering that cost to 2 by playing this character, and you're establishing a body, which can be useful, of course. And in some cases, even where it's boost 1 and you're actually investing more ink to like put the card under it, establishing a body might be enough and might be something that's worth it. There was another card that I haven't talked about yet on the channel, Scrooge Mcduck, Cavern Prospector, 6-cost inkable 4/7 quest for 2, shift 4, and whenever you play a character or location with boost, you may put the top card of your deck face down under them. So these cards obviously have great synergy with any of the Whispers, any of the characters with boost. And if you take, for an example, a card like Simba, who we did review and said, this seems like a trap, it's far too expensive. It might be good in Infinity if you can cheat it in with Mufasa, but outside of that, then it's way too much of an ink investment to be able to play the Simba and then immediately trigger his boost. It's probably a 2-turn clock, and that's probably a little bit too slow. But if we can establish something like this Scrooge Mcduck, meaning that when we play the Simba, he immediately has the card tucked under him and his ability triggers straight away. That's obviously a little bit better. It requires the setup of you getting the Scrooge onto the board, but it is a little way to make that strategy a little bit more consistent. And then we look at a card like Emily Quackfaster. If we've got enough ink to be able to play our boost character and then immediately play Emily and tuck the card under, maybe that's triggering the ability straight away, or it's enabling the ability. Nonetheless, cards like this that allow us to essentially cheat the boost mechanic are going to make us completely reassess how we look at them. She's an emerald, and obviously Scrooge is amber. But yeah, that's something that we need to pay attention to as we're evaluating all future Whispers. And a little bit of lore. Hana's Herborium, the book that a Lumineer wrote, our only copy has been checked out, sadly. Now, this isn't the first mentioning of this Hana. I thought it was Hannah, but it was confirmed today in the on the Lorcana Discord main stage, which I had the pleasure of attending with the narrative team to discuss the lore of Lorcana. We talked a little bit more about Hana, and I assumed that Hana was going to be another of the older Lumineers like Arcasia, and like as time went on we might discover more and more of them. But apparently Hana is not an ancient Lumineer. She came into the realm of Lorcana not long after quote-unquote us in the first chapter. So that was really interesting to know that like she's younger than us essentially coming into the game, and who knows what she's been doing off in the world of Lorcana. And it sets a really interesting precedent for, okay, well, what about any other Lumineers that have come into Lorcana since we essentially started the game? What have they been doing off in the world of Lorcana? So I'm really interested to learn a little bit more about Hana, and she's referenced on a few of the cards, so it won't be the first we're seeing of her. But yeah, Emily Quackfaster I think is super solid, and Scrooge Mcduck, again, it's our first time talking about him. It's just another way to kind of cheat this boost mechanic, which could be very cool. And that Scrooge is, of course, a Floodborn, so we might as well mention the shift targets we still have from set 5, the 4-cost uninkable 5/5 quest for 2, and of course the resourceful Miser, who is very good in item decks. But another Scrooge Mcduck that we have had revealed coming in set 10 is very, very interesting. We have an emerald card, Scrooge Mcduck, SHUSH Shush Agent. He is a 2-cost uninkable 0/2 quest for 2 with 2 abilities. We have Backup Plan. When you play this character, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. Simple looter, really useful ability to have. Like, we play plenty of cards that have this ability, normally on a 1-cost. But he is only a 2-cost, but he is uninkable. So what's that second ability? It's on the move. When this character is challenged, return this card to your hand. That is very, very interesting. So yeah, another potential shift target if you're playing... It seems if you're playing Emerald Amber, then those are your two core colours for Whisper support. So obviously there are Whispers in other colours, but it seems like those are going to be the best colours to play if you want an all-out Whispers deck. So if that's the case, this is a perfect shift target for the Amber one. But yeah, I think this is very, very cool. It's the first time we've seen this sort of ability to return to your hand when challenged. We had the Bambi, who returns to your hand just for you if your opponent plays a character. So yeah, like other than obviously they can use Fire the Cannons or a plethora of chip damage cards to remove Scrooge, but he's never being challenged. He will, well, he can be challenged, but he's never being banished in a challenge. He will return to your hand. So that in itself could be pretty interesting. Being uninkable really hurts it. So I hope we have some more Scrooge Mcduck shift targets to be revealed, whether in Emerald or indeed Amber, to go with the Floodborn that we've already got. But yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting card. The next card to talk about, which we haven't talked about yet on the channel, is this Cinderella Dream Come True. From Sapphire, 4-cost uninkable, 2/3, quest for 1. At the end of your turn, if you played a princess character this turn, you may put a card from your hand into your inkwell face down to draw a card. This is absolutely bonkers. So for a start, playing a princess character does count herself, so if you play this on your 4 ink turn, then her ability will indeed trigger at the end of the turn, and you get to ink an extra card. It does have to be inkable, but it's basically sale, right? You get to ink another card and then draw. Now, it comes in ready, but because your turn is ending, it's unlikely you're going to be able to utilize that ink. That being said, there is a pretty cheesy combo with the Emerald Basil, who when you put a card into your inkwell, you can pay an ink to have your opponent discard a card, which I do believe works. Technically, you've ended your turn to trigger this ability, but then Basil still sees that and allows you to pay the ink to make your opponent discard. But by and large, we are just going from turn 2 to turn 4, from turn 4 to turn 6 straight away, which is going to unlock some ridiculous stuff, and then you're only 1 turn away from your Hades turn anyway. This is by and large one of the best cards in the set, just because it is allowing you to turbo ramp, stick a body on the board, and you're drawing a card in the same way that you do for sale to like make sure you're keeping some resources. So this will 100% see play. The next card to talk about is Diablo, Watchful Raven, 2-cost uninkable, 3/3, quest for 2. Be careful when gathering herbs in the Inkwell Caverns. You never know who's watching. Harness Herborium. Second reference. I made a bit of a joke on Twitter when this was revealed of, oh great, so Ask Me has to be uninkable. And it is just a joke. Different ink colours should be better and worse at doing different things. But, like, don't even care. This is a fantastic stat line, and questing for 2. Yes, it is uninkable, but I think a lot of Ruby decks will make room for this, and maybe this will be... Like, there's been some Ruby Amethyst aggro decks in the past that have been okay. Maybe this is the tool that they need to really be a little bit more viable, and maybe you don't even pair with Amethyst. Maybe it's a Ruby Amber aggro deck. Like, there's a few options, but this just enables a whole new sort of play style for Ruby. And I've been saying for a while that we're having a bit of an identity crisis, getting a lot of Singer support in Fabled. And then we don't have a ton of removal left, and it seems like other ink colours are getting a lot more removal. So, not sure where Ruby is going to, like, settle in terms of its identity. But this is a super strong card that will at least see testing, and I think we'll see it in top meta play. Next up, we got another Whisper. Kristoff, Mining the Ruins, is a 3-cost inkable, 2/3, quest for 2, boost 1, and worth mining. Whenever this character quests, if there's a card under him, put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. This is pretty interesting, because if we're ramping on 2, then we can play this on our turn 3, and then it's our 4-ink turn, right? So we can play this and then immediately boost him if we want to. Now, if there's a meta where we're ever fearing this immediately being bounced to our hand or banished, then it's never viable. But outside of that, it might be okay just to say, okay, I'm going from 2 to 4, and then this is helping you skip to a 6-ink turn, essentially, like on the turn that you quest this. Yeah, it's a nice turbo ramp tool. It does quest for 2. My instinct is it's not going to be good enough, but it's okay. It's like among one of the better Whispers that we've seen. Next up, we've got Gazelle, Ballad Singer from Amber, 5-cost, uninkable, 3/8, quest for 1, Singer 7, and and crowd favorite. When you play this character, you may put a song card from your discard on the top of your deck. That is pretty juicy. 5 cost is not too bad. Being uninkable does suck, but the 3/8 stat line is good. The Singer 7 is potentially very good. So when it comes to our better songs that we would be quite happy to put from our discard back on the top of the deck, you're looking at Strength for a Raging Fire, Beyond the Horizon. Obviously she can actually sing, so that alone, that is also pretty cool. One Jump Ahead is a little bit of play as extra ramp. If you're playing with Ruby, then you've got Pirate's Life and Be King Undisputed. Mother Knows Best, You're Welcome. Heffalump, Stop Chaos. Quite a lot for Emerald, to be fair. Under the Sea, and of course her Singer 7 can contribute 7 of the what you need to sing that, along with a 1-drop. Standout is okay. This Emerald's song that we're getting in this set, and again, the set's not out completely outright, so there could be some more like songs to come that could like really work well with this. I think World's Greatest Criminal Mind will see a lot of play next set because we got some big beat sticks. Maybe your Amber Sapphire, and this is contributing 7 of the Singer that you need for second start to the right. And Chatter to Colour is Law, jamming some Circle of Life. So there are some interesting songs. I think the best one right off the bat is probably Beyond the Horizon. Getting it back when you need it. Maybe you like discard it away with Mulan or a Doc or something, and then get it and like being able to recycle it. Yeah. I think Beyond the Horizon alone is enough for this card to at least see testing. And there are some other interesting songs, and we've not seen all the set rights, so there could be more. So straight away, I think this is probably going to end up being quite a good card. I do believe in Gazelle. Next up from Amber, we've got Della's Moon Lullaby. Art Appreciation. 2-cost Ingable song. Chosen opposing character gets -2 strength into the start of your next turn. Draw a card. So -2 strength can be relevant for a lot of reasons. Maybe you're paired with Emerald and playing Under the Sea, and there are some other strength-specific cards that this could synergize with. The fact that this is drawing you another card, it's inkable. It's a perfectly reasonable song in any deck that is like maximizing its songs due to synergy with characters, etc. So yeah, I think this is pretty solid. I will quickly talk about this Scuttle Bird-Brained from Sapphire. 5-cost inkable, 5/5 quest for 2 with Ward. Mate, I'm super convinced this will see play. You can ramp into it with Detective Mickey. Ward is one of the best keywords in the game. 5/5 quest for 2. Absolutely, I think this is super reasonable. We see cards like Scrooge, and again, I know that's 4-cost. But yeah, we're just ramping into the Scrooge, and if you're going to play this, you're a deck that's going to ramp on 3 instead, and this is super reasonable to put down. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Scuttle. Next up, we've got Basil, Tenacious Mouse. Shout out to LD and Artbacks on a great reveal for this. 3-cost inkable, 3/2, quest for 2. Whenever you play another detective character, this character gains resist 1 into the start of your next turn. It's nothing particularly interesting, but it's a Basil, and like, look at him, man. His shield is a pocket watch, and his sword is the handle. That is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I don't think it's going to see meta play, but in Limited, I think this is a super solid card. Cheap, probably going to trade with a lot, and the resist 1 could actually potentially help you get like two quests out of this, and questing for 2 is good. So yeah, I like Basil. Next up from Sapphire, we've got Mad Solver Mystery. And we will eventually finish that part of the song. Sapphire, 4-cost inkable action song. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal up to 1 character card and 1 item card and put them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. This is amazing. I'm surprised it isn't a detective and an item. This is super good. Like any deck that's item heavy is going to be running the Scrooge, who you can play for, who can search an item, and you can play for free if you can exert 4 items. He would love to sing this, and then essentially add 2 cards to your hand. Again, assuming there is an item and a character in those 4 cards, but hopefully you're going to build your deck in a way where that is pretty likely. Sometimes you're going to maybe miss and only get one or the other, but still, I think any deck that's got a lot of item synergy is going to adore this card. Would you ever play it in a deck with like not built around items, but maybe has a couple of like tech items that are good in certain matchups? Potentially, if you've got a decent enough singer for it. But in item-heavy builds of Scrooges, Tamatoas, and stuff, I think this is going to be a fantastic addition. And next from Amber, we've got Rewrite History, DuckTales, ooh. Every day they're out there making DuckTales, Ooh, we've got a 3-cost Inkable Song. Return a character card from your discard to your hand. Super simple, but like I've talked on the channel an awful lot about quote-unquote graveyard effects and things that you can trigger in the graveyard or just have in the discard pile or have synergy with the discard pile. And we've got some cards like Robin Hood where you mill the top 4 cards of your deck, and there's a Dale who's got a mill the top 3 or 4 cards of your deck when you play him. And like there's not tons, but there's a few cards that do this, right? And there can be some potential benefit to that if you're like just milling as fast as you can so that you can then cherry pick certain characters, items, whatever it is out of the discard. So if there's ever enough pieces to that sort of deck, then I think this card is a super reasonable part of it. It's a song, it's Inkable, 3 is cheap enough. Again, it's going to be a very specific deck that wants this, and I don't think we're there yet, but it's going to be interesting for the future. Next up one I think is kind of interesting from Emerald, we've got Potion of Malice, 3-cost uninkable item. 2 abilities. We have Suppressed Anger, Exert and pay 1 ink. Put 1 damage counter on chosen character. So any damage matters deck, this is really nice. A lot of the damage matters cards, they already need to have damage on them before you can add more or trigger abilities. But this is a nice way of getting that damage on through an item that's hopefully going to stay on the board, and you're going to hopefully get to trigger it multiple times. And Mindless Rage. Exert, banish this item. Each opposing damaged character gains Reckless until the start of your next turn. If you are able to like create a situation, like look at our current meta, like it's just wide boards, right? So if you can create a situation where you've got 2, 3, 4 guys and so have they, and you've managed to put a ping damage on all of them, like you quest out, maybe they were winning the race, now they have to make challenges which aren't necessarily going to be good for them. Like again, it's a little niche, but it is an interesting secondary ability that could really switch the tempo of a game. And again, just having the ability to like enable your damage matters cards is super interesting. Being uninkable obviously sucks, but maybe it's a necessary piece of that puzzle. But yeah, it was definitely a card that I thought was worth mentioning. Next up, a card a lot of creators talked about a week or so ago, but it's my first time talking about it on the channel, and I can't not. We've got Goliath, Clan Leader, 6-cost Inkable, 6/5, quest for 2, Dusk to Dawn. At the end of each player's turn, if they have more than 2 cards in their hand, they choose and discard cards until they have 2. If they have fewer than 2 cards in their hand, they draw until they have 2. So against the deck that wants to draw a lot of cards and have a lot of cards in their hand at all times, then this is annoying, but you do get a window to kind of like either remove the Goliath or play out as much of your hand as possible. Because I play Goliath, my turn ends, if I've got more than 2 cards in my hand, I discard 2. If I've got less, I draw up to 2. Then it's the opponent's turn. So they have that turn to either be able to hopefully remove the Goliath or play out as much of their hand as possible. Maybe their hand is so big that, you know, you're still discarding a couple of cards, but it is a little, kind of easy to play around, but it's still something they have to then play around. If they're a deck that is discarding, well, playing out their hand as quickly as possible, think of the likes of Amethyst Steel or Aggro, then you're giving them some fuel here that they're going to be the first player to be able to start benefiting from. Technically, because you don't draw cards just for playing this, you have to wait until your turn ends, and then if you've got less than 2, then you draw up to 2. So if your opponent had 0 and you're giving them now 2 cards and then they draw up to 3, then that is giving them some gas. So this is definitely going to be a skillful card. It's like, it's not just going to be slam this card and profit. It's definitely going to require some thought, but it is a very powerful ability. You obviously play, you build your deck around this, knowing that you're going to play your hand out as much as possible. Hopefully benefit yourself. Maybe you pair with Emerald and you play something like You're Welcome. Like there's a lot to be tested and discovered with this card, but it is no doubt very strong. Also the Stone by Day ability that all the gargoyles have, where if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, then he can't ready. But again, you're going to build your deck in a way where you're playing your hand out as much as possible, and there'll be some like counter strategies. Again, things like You're Welcome, things to make you draw, so that your gargoyles suddenly aren't readying. But he's inkable. 6/5 is a great stat line. Questing for 2. Again, having 5 strength or more is a little bit sus at the moment, because like as soon as they become good enough, people just start playing World's Greatest Criminal Mind and you're quite easily removed. But this is definitely a very powerful card, and I do think gargoyles are going to be a very strong deck right out the gate. It won't play all the gargoyles, obviously they're in multiple ink colours, but yeah, there's some very strong cards in the gargoyles, and this Goliath is absolutely one of them. One of the best cards from the Gargoyle series, although not a Gargoyle himself, is David Xanatos, Steel Clan Leader. 3-cost inkable, 3/2, quest for 1, and minor inconvenience. When you play this character, you may choose and discard a card to deal 2 damage to chosen character. This is incredible. Basically, any card in your hand basically becomes a Fire the Cannons that you get to play immediately for free. Amethyst Steel 100% plays this. You're like discarding cards from your hand to then like play Dock and Yzma and things like that. The 2 damage is going to be super relevant. There's going to be a lot of characters that are going to be kept out of format purely because of this card's existence. Because if you play a 3-cost that doesn't have an on-play ability with 2 willpower, couple of interesting ones with evasive, then they just immediately get smashed by this for nothing. Like you don't even have to run the Fire the Cannons, and then that potentially sometimes becomes a cloggy card in your deck that you don't always want to see. Like, it's just built into this card as long as you have another card. So I think this is absolutely crazy good. I think this 100% sees play in Amethyst Steel, and again complements the Gargoyle strategy of like lowering your hand size. So yeah, this is one of the best cards in the set for me, easily. And another one of the best cards in the set, also from Gargoyles, and he is a Gargoyle, is Lexington, small in stature. 3-cost inkable, 4/4, quest for 1, the Stone by Day nerf, quote unquote, and alert. This character can challenge as if they had evasive, our new keyword. Similar to characters that we've had that say this character has evasive during your turn, but there is a key difference because there are cards that specifically combo with the word evasive. The most obvious one being Dumbo, so any character that says it gains evasive during your turn can synergize with Dumbo and the Making History ability, whereas this would not be able to do that. There's also some random other cards, I think they've rotated out, but I think it's Peter Pan's Dagger, which is +1 strength to a character with evasive. So my point being, there is a clear difference. I like having a specific keyword for this. You know, it like to have answers to evasive, you need more evasives, and then like it just becomes too evasive. That's a terrible way of putting it, but hopefully you know what I mean. Like, this now means that we can print answers to evasives without just like adding to the quote-unquote evasive problem. And yeah, this 4/4 stat line is taking out all of the relevant evasives in format. I think this, like, Dumbos may still see play because, again, as long as you've got an evasive or 2 on the board, you play Dumbo with a nothing to immediately trigger the ability. And then they've still got to exert it, right? Does this push Genie out of format just because we have this simple answer to it? I mean, there have been other ways to simply answer Genie, but I don't know. Like, Genie's still a very good card, but this is another sure add to Amethyst Steel, in my opinion. They're already playing the Genie, the 3/4 that gets evasive during your turn. They're already playing out as much of their hand as possible, so I don't think we're going to be bothered by the Stone by Day ability. So I think this is another sure add to Amethyst Steel, until which time potentially there are not many people stop playing evasives. But even then, this is a 4/4 stat line on a 3-cost, man. This is super good. This 100% sees play. Next up, we've got for Amethyst, Can't Hold It Back Anymore, which is a 4-cost uninkable song. Exerts chosen opposing character. Move all damage counters from all other characters to that character. This is super interesting. I think you can only ever reliably run this in like Flingerdingers. When you're playing characters like Mulan, who take damage as soon as you play her. In Infinity, there are also Mother Gothel and the Beast. You've got to think in the future we're going to get other characters that are going to enter play with damage already on them. And hey, imagine we get like one that enters with 3 damage or 4 damage, and then we can immediately sing this with something we've already played, and then like move all the damage counters on. Like, yeah, I think this could be really good. You're exerting them as well, so potentially you move damage to them and it doesn't take them out, and then you finish them off with a challenge. I think this is a pretty good card. I think it needs to go in the right deck. I do think it needs to be Flingerdingers, and we probably need a little bit more than Mulan. Because outside of that, I think it's too inconsistent to set up a board state where this is going to like be online enough, especially for being an uninkable. But yeah, in like a Flingerdingers build, when we get some more cards with Mulan with self-ping, then I think this could be really good. Next up, we've got Goofy, Galumping Gumshoe. From Amber, 8-cost inkable, 5/7, quest for 3, shift 5, and Hot Pursuit. When you play this character and whenever he quests, each opposing character gets -1 strength into the start of your next turn. So the minus to strength is going to be relevant for any Amber, Emerald, Under the Sea shenanigans. He can also sing Under the Sea, or you could just have him quest for 3. 5/7 stat line. I think this is a really solid card. In terms of shift targets, already in Amber, we have the Groundbreaking Chef, who is pretty cool. If you're paired with Emerald, then maybe you're playing some locations, and the Set for Adventure. In Emerald, there's also the Expert Shipwright, and the new goofy Emerald Champion that we're getting in this set. This was the first card actually revealed from Whispers in the Well. So a few shift targets, but we also have a new card, a new shift target, Goofy Ghost Hunter. 4-cost Inkable, 4/5 quest for 1. And the Perfect Trap. When you play this character, chosen opposing character gets -1 strength until the start of your next turn. So if you are playing a deck with Under the Sea or cards that just like want you to have opponent's characters to be at lower strength, then this is your ideal shift target to go along with the Galumping Gumshoe. But I think the Groundbreaking Chef is also a perfectly reasonable shift target. Maybe you play both if this Goofy is good enough. But yeah, I think definitely for Under the Sea shenanigans in an Amber Emerald deck, this 100% makes its way into that. And yeah, it's just super bulky, and like shift 5 is pretty reasonable. And yeah, I think this is a pretty solid card. Next up, one that I'm really excited for as a Ruby stan, we have Tinkerbell Temperamental Fairy. 5-cost Inkable, 5/3, quest for 1, shift 3, and Harmless Diversion. When you play this character, exert chosen opposing character with 2 strength or less. So that is pretty interesting. Before this set, I would have said 2 strength, as we know, or lower is very, very relevant. Brawl was very good for a long time for a reason. That being said, this set is kind of bonkers, and everything's getting bigger. So many stat lines, like it's power creep. It is literally power creep for a lot of cards. And I'm wondering what the meta's going to look like, and if there's just going to be a lot more big beat sticks. But for relevant characters that do stay in format, shift targets, or strong abilities, or just aggro decks, 2 strength or less will continue to be pretty relevant. If we also assume that we're shifting, then we're playing this character, exerting something, and then we can immediately challenge. Now, there are a couple of Tinkerbells to talk about as a shift target. We already have, it was in set 8, I believe. Yeah, it was set 8. The Insistent Fairy, 2-cost Inkable, 1/1 quest for 1, evasive, and whenever you play a character with strength 5 or more, you may exert them to gain 2 lore. And this has seen some like rogue play with some things like the Prince John, who has 5 strength, and some other like big beat stick characters. And again, we are getting quite a few very well statted characters who are quite cheap, and like more support basically for these cards that work specifically with 5 strength or more characters. And worth mentioning, this was confirmed by experienced judge Googly Glimmers, that if you shift this Tinkerbell Temperamental Fairy onto the Insistent Fairy, then she will see that you played a character of 5 strength or more. And even if you shifted on top of that same Tinkerbell, and you can immediately exert this Tinkerbell to gain the lore. Obviously, that means then you're not challenging with her, but you're still exerting something down, and maybe you've got another character that can then make that challenge. Kind of breaks my brain that works, and I kind of hate that it works, but that is the case apparently. So that is good if you want to play this Tinkerbell. So yeah, this 2 cost is perfectly reasonable. But we are also getting a 1-drop Tinkerbell Fancy Footwork. 1-cost Inkable, 3/1 quest for 1. A moment of silence for Toby, who did nothing wrong. Toby the dog from Basil the Great Mouse Detective. Some of you are thinking, who's Toby? That's not a Lorcana card. I refuse to believe you, Baker. Take a look at Toby. 1-cost uninkable, 3/1 quest for 1. Justice for Toby, man. Toby did nothing wrong. Ravensburger, DeCandio, Moyen, Steve Warner, whoever's watching, you owe me a good Toby. Toby is the sweetest dog, and he does not deserve this. Toby deserves better. Anyway, I'm gonna get over myself. Great stat line. Like, I've considered Toby in the past if it wasn't for the fact he's uninkable. There is also Felicia, who is, like, the inkable. 1 cost, 3-1, quest for 1, but she's reckless. And to be honest, your 3-1 is probably, they're there to challenge, right? But you want it to be a good challenge for you. You don't want to just get baited by your opponent into challenging something silly, like a Kuzco or whatever. So yeah, like, this is obviously fantastic to have this stat line and an inkable card that can quest. And again, it's a perfect shift target for the temperamental fairy. So depending on what our meta looks like and how many other good cards we get in Ruby and how much reason there is to run Ruby in the first place, this is very interesting and is one that I'm very interested to test. Next up, one that was revealed today in the Disney Lorcana main stage with the narrative team is Webby Vanderquack, Junior Prospector. From Emerald, 4 cost inkable, 2/4, quest for 2, shift 2, ward, and work smarter. Whenever this character quests, if an opponent has more cards in their inkwell than you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. Your first question is shift targets. We already had a 3 cost inkable 3/4 in Ruby, although this has rotated out, I believe. Yeah, so we don't have that Webby, ignore that completely. But we're also getting in set 10 a 1-drop, the Mystery Enthusiast. She's a 1/2 quest for 1, and on play, chosen character gets +1 strength this turn, which is very good for a 1-drop who is a shift target. Quite often, I think this is better than just having a 1-drop 2/2. Again, like, there are uses to having a 2/2, but abilities like this, and there's a Jasmine that gives resist. Like, I think this is one of the better abilities that you can give your 1-drop shift target. So that's great. We could shift this on 2. So if your opponent is Sapphire and they're ramping on 2, and you're on the draw, then you immediately get to, like, start to catch up in ink. So that is very good. Against Sapphire, even if you're not doing this on turn 2, they are inevitably going to ink higher than you. There's also things we've had in the past, like Hey, who saw some play recently in Emerald Amethyst, courtesy of Justice and a group of UK players, utilizing Hey to just say, you know, as an Emerald deck, I'm not inking myself probably as quickly as you are, so I will just benefit later on in the game from a bit more ink. And again, you can do this just later on in the game. If you shift her, then you can just quest immediately. If you just summon this Webby without shifting, then at least she has ward, so she's tricky to remove. So you probably are getting your quest off with Webby and then hopefully ramping. I think this is a really interesting card. Like, ward really helps it. Questing for 2. Again, it's just going to depend on, is this good enough to dedicate, say, 8 slots of your deck to be able to do this? Potentially. Yeah, I think this is interesting. It's one of the better legendaries that I've seen. I also asked in the creative main stage if this figure at the back is the Scrooge, the amber one that we've already seen, because it looked like a pretty similar outfit, and they all but confirmed that was true. So yeah, I do think this card is very good. A part of my instinct wonders if it's, maybe I'm overhyping it a little bit. Like, it's good, but again, are you playing 8 slots just to be able to get a ramp and quest for 2? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below on Webby Vanderquack, because I do think she's a good card. I just wonder if she's good enough. She is inkable, so that is a very big thing going for her. Yeah, she's definitely good. Will she be good enough? Let me know down below. Another Webby Vanderquack worth mentioning is this one from Amber, the Knowledge Seeker. 3 cost inkable, 1/6 quest for 1. While you have a character or location in play with a card under them, this character gets +1 lore. Now, worth remembering, like, it doesn't, a character with a card under them does not have to be a Whisper that has the boost mechanic. It can just be something that you've shifted. It is possible to already have a character with a card under them. So again, if you've got that boost and Whisper synergy, then even better. But even if you're just running a high count of Floodborns, then this is potentially online. So if we assume it's going to be online more often than not, a 3 cost 1/6 that quests for 2, is that good enough? In a world where Daring Visitor Sisu is not seeing play, potentially. If she is, if Ruby decks like end up being a little better next set, and we are still playing Sisus, then I don't like the chances of this card. Overall, like, it's not great. It's like it's fine. But if you do have a lot of Whisper synergy, then it's a cheap bit of aggro. Another card I want to mention, who I feel like is doomed before he begins, is Cri-Kee, Good Luck Charm. 2 cost inkable, 3/2 quest for 1 with the alert keyword, meaning they can challenge as if they had evasive. This is a prime example of a card that I think is just batted out of the format at by David Xanatos. Like, play or draw, you play this on 2 and then they just shoot it down with Xanatos. That feels super, super bad. So I don't think this is good enough. Like, again, I know you're always going to have bad matchups, right? So maybe you still play this if it's good enough to have into other decks. But it's the first example of a card that I think is immediately kind of kept out by the existence of David Xanatos. Because outside of that, it's super interesting. One I have to briefly talk about is Cauldron Born, Mindless Horde. 5 cost inkable, 6/7 quest for 1. Big, bulky vanilla. That's definitely worth mentioning, but I'm talking about the art here. This has got to be one of my favorite arts in the game, straight up. This is absolutely beautiful. I love that it's just storyborn as well, kind of similar to the Alice in Wonderland characters that never had too many classifications. They were just storyborn. So I think that's pretty cool. My beloved warriors have come to life. All the dead of centuries past. Never has anyone created an army like this. I love it, mate. It's just such a cool card. Another one revealed today that's a vanilla, but we'll definitely see play is Black Heron, Real Bad Egg. 2 cost inkable, 3/3 quest for 1. Sorry, Raja. You have been replaced in Amethyst Steel decks immediately. Unless they really want to run Treasure Guardian, which they probably don't. They'll just run Dumbo. Yeah, I think this immediately goes in Amethyst. Like, this set already, like 3 off the top of my head that are instant adds to Amethyst Steel and probably more. Yeah, this is a great stat line to have. Just really, really solid. Next up, one I adore, just thematically, we have the Sword of Hercules. 2 cost inkable item. When you play this character, banish chosen opposing deity character, and hand to hand during your turn, whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge, gain 1 lore. I've said this before, I love the cards that are like specific to a specific character. So we've already had the Sword of Shan Yu, who we're still waiting to get Shan Yu. Yo, Rochelle, please let me reveal Shan Yu. And in the past we've had the Sword of Truth and Peter Pan's dagger, and I just think those are cool, man. I love like the items that are like the character specific items. The only thing I wish about this is that it had a 3rd ability or something on here that works specifically with Hercules. I feel like that I would have liked to have seen that. But by and large, this is kind of interesting. Let's look at our deities. So the big one is obviously Hades, who sees a ton of play, the Infernal Schemer. Banishing the Sisu Daring Visitor is probably kind of meh. The Maui Half Shark, pretty good removal piece for that, to be fair. The Ruthless Tyrant sees some fringe play, and this new Hades looking for a deal. I'm not convinced it's going to see a ton of play. It might, but even if it does, like, you don't care. Like, it's getting its benefit as soon as you play it by drawing cards or removing a character. So I don't think he's the best target. I think Maui Shark and Hades are your best targets for this sort of Hercules. Is that enough? If the deck that you're playing, like, really struggles against those cards, then potentially this is cheap enough and inkable. And even if you ignore the 1st ability and just treat it as whenever your character banishes another character in a challenge, gain a lore. I don't know if that secondary ability is good enough. I feel like you would only play this if there are good odds that you're seeing a good amount of deities in format, and maybe we'll get some more. But yeah, thematically, love the card. Next one that I have to talk about is the new Emerald song, Malicious, Mean and Scary. Yo, why is this art the original Podkana team when looking at a deck with over 60 cards? Don't clip this. Don't send it to them. It's an inkable 3-cost song. Put 1 damage counter on each opposing character. This is absolutely bonkers, mate. This is exactly the card that Damage Matters decks have been looked at, and there's already a couple of cards that you can talk about. We've got the old Emerald Scar, who when you challenge a damage character, you get to draw a card. Where I've typed in Scar, and you are absolutely showing me characters that are 100% not Scar. Can I please have the Scar? He's a 4-cost character. I know that. Oh, I've still got deity selected. That's what's going wrong here. Here he is, the Vengeful Lion. He's got Ward, and whenever one of your characters challenges a damage character, you may draw a card. So that's pretty interesting. And again, there's a ton of cards that have been revealed in the past that are Damage Matters related. We will need to look at all of them. But the most interesting is a certain prince that I know a lot of people, myself included, have been waiting for a long time to potentially become relevant, who was reprinted in Fabled, the Vanquisher of Foes. 9-cost Inkable, 6/6 quest for 3, shift 6, evasive, and when you play this character, banish all opposing damaged characters. There's also an absolutely perfect shift target in the form of this Prince Philip, who's a 3/2 quest for 2 with Ward, so he's going to be very difficult to remove. So you play this Prince Philip, he sings the Malicious, Mean and Scary song, and then when you've got, again, you can't do this on curve, you need to wait till you've got 6 ink, but hey, maybe you're playing with Sapphire and you're ramping. So yeah, the idea, your Prince Philip sings the song, and then you shift this and you immediately banish all opposing characters, or maybe you sing the song with a different character and then play this, shift this Prince Philip and immediately quest with him or something like that. This is very real. Like, this is the new Sisu. There's one more card required, the Malicious, Mean and Scary, but maybe you don't even need that and you've just been able to put damage on them in other ways. But Malicious, Mean and Scary is a really reliable way to do it. It gets around Ward because you're not choosing. It's just put 1 damage on all opposing characters. It's a damage counter, so it gets around Resist. So Resist and Ward do not prevent this from happening. This is a very, very raw combo that I think absolutely is going to see play along with this Prince Philip, and I am kind of terrified, but also kind of very, very excited for it. Next up, one that I love is Cheshire Cat Inexplicable. 3-cost Inkable, 3/4 quest for 1, boost 2, and it's loads of fun. Whenever you put a card under this character, you may move up to 2 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. I think this is actually kind of bonkers. In a Flinger Dingers deck where you're running things like Mulan, then this is obviously already great. But even outside of that, if you've just established this Cheshire Cat, and then you find a turn where you're able to do a challenge, like, again, it's kind of a mini Bell. Obviously, it's only 2 damage counters, but quite often that's going to be enough. Along, like, you do a challenge, you take 2 damage, you do 2-3 damage to them, and then you move the 2 damage you just took, or maybe more. But like, this math is gonna math well a lot of the time. I think this is really solid. I'm very excited to test with this. Because again, if you've established it, your opponent just has to be so careful about turning sideways. It's very similar to the way they have to try and play around Bell. But you've already played this and you only need to invest another 2 ink to be able to, like, trigger this ability. So I think this is really, really solid, and there's a strong chance to this sees play in a couple of different Amethyst decks. Yeah, I love this Cheshire Cat. Next up, we've got Shere Khan, Fierce and Furious. Let's go. 8-cost Inkable, 8/8, quest for 2, shift 5, and Wild Rage. Pay 1 ink, deal 1 damage to this character. Ready this character. He can't quest for the rest of the turn. So that 1 ink can be played multiple times. So as long as you can pay the ink and you can do the damage to yourself and survive, then you're re-readying, you are, like, making multiple challenges. Like, all this is missing is Rush, really. I kind of wish this had Rush. Maybe, would that be too good? I don't know, it's an 8-cost card, like, you know, like, Monstro exists, so I think you could have given this Rush, but this is a shift 5, so you can play it a lot sooner. So technically it does have Rush, alright, if you're shifting. I see you, I hear you. Technically it does have Rush if you're shifting, but I don't know, I just want to pay 8 and immediately challenge. Yeah, I really like this card. 8/8 is big and bulky. It's inkable. Multiple challenges, or maybe you're singing multiple songs. I know we got a reprint of one particular Shere Khan from Ruby. Yeah, the Menacing Predator, who's a 3-cost inkable. And I don't think there have been any other Shere Khans revealed so far. But at least the shift target that we have, 3-cost is okay. And obviously being in the same ink color is very ideal. I would like another shift target for this Shere Khan, but he is very interesting. But the thing is, if you're playing this, if this is our only shift target, then do you want to play build an entire Challenge Matters deck? Maybe, and maybe that's not a bad thing. I really like this Bloodborne card. I don't know how good it's going to be, but I'm definitely going to test it. Right, we're coming up to the hour, so last 2 cards I want to talk about for today. We've got Magica De Spell, Evil Sorceress from Amethyst, 5-cost inkable, 3/6 quest for 2, and Mystical Manipulation. Whenever you put a card under one of your characters or locations, you may move 1 damage counter from a character of your choice to an opposing character of your choice. We've had cards like this before, Mama Odie cards that like to do this, and there's like a Bell and a few others. They've never been particularly great, even in a Flinger Dinger type deck. But this is cheap. It does quest for 2. It's one of the better ones that I've seen with this type of ability. But I'm mainly talking about it because she is a shift target for Magica De Spell, Conniving Sorceress. Look at this art, mate. This is insane. 7 cost uninkable, 7/7, quest for 1, shift 7, so the cost to shift her is the same as to summon her. And Shadow's Grasp. When you play this character, if you used shift to play her, you may draw 4 cards. That's pretty good. We just looked at this as a potential shift target, the 5 cost. We also have, if you are playing with Emerald, then this 5 cost uninkable who lets you bounce a character to draw a card. We also have the Cruel Sorceress from set 5. During opponent's turns, if an effect would cause you to discard 1 or more cards from your hand, you don't discard, which can be relevant. Never saw play before because Brawl existed. But it is an inkable and slightly cheaper shift target. Obviously we want something a little bit cheaper than that, preferably. Nonetheless, you're not shifting in this until you're on 7 ink anyway. Drawing 4 cards is pretty good, and establishing a 7/7 body, that could legitimately be enough. But again, I think we need a slightly better and or cheaper Magica De Spell to shift this on top of. But yeah, if you are shifting, drawing 4 cards, and then immediately challenging something with the 7/7 body, then yeah, that can absolutely be good enough. So, and again, another super solid card in this set. And that is all I'm going to talk about for today. There are some more that we haven't covered yet, but I will do at least one more review video when I get back from Milwaukee to talk about interesting ones that we haven't looked at yet. And again, there are still more reveals happening over the next few days. By and large, like, this is already my second favorite set of all time. My first is Reign of Jafar for many reasons, like very sentimental to me. Had a big moment on the DLC. I'm a big fan of Jafar. I loved the packaging, like the red and the gold. And obviously Palace Heist, a lot associated with that set that was very sentimental and that I was a big fan of. But like, there's stiff competition for some of my other favourites: Rise of the Floodborn, Ursa's Return. I really liked Arcasia's Island as well. But yeah, this is my second favourite set so far, and it's not all out yet. I love the theming of Whispers in the Well, and so many of these cards are so interesting. I think this is going to be the biggest shake-up in our meta since set 2, and if you were playing all the way back in set 1, then you remember how dramatic that meta shift was from set 1 to set 2. So many cards that I'm so intrigued and excited to brew with. Power creep is absolutely here and absolutely real. Like, again, I don't think we talked about it today, but this Bagheera 3 cost inkable 4/4, like, this is insane. And we saw an example with power creep with Tinkerbell and poor Toby, and there are other examples, but overall I am so excited for this set. It's like the hypest I've been for a set in a long time. Again, Reign of Jafar wasn't too long ago, and I was very hyped for that. But yeah, this is looking really, really exciting. What are your thoughts on the set? Let me know down below. But yeah, you'll be seeing this on probably Tuesday. It's currently Monday night. I'm going to edit this tonight and get it up for Tuesday, and then on Tuesday I am recording the Set Championship Showcase and editing that to probably go out on Thursday. But my flight is on Wednesday to Milwaukee. If I'm going to be meeting you for the first time in Milwaukee, please comment, let me know down below. If you would like to bring a copy of my first ever reveal card, The Most Diabolical Scheme, and you would like to sign one for me and gift it to me in Milwaukee, then I would be honoured and delighted. I want to try and collect as many signed copies of that card as possible, and then at the end of I'll put them all in a folder, and then at the end of the season I'll do a stream and we'll do a flick through and just sort of like tell some stories, show some photos and some videos and stuff like that. So yeah, if I'm going to be meeting you again in Milwaukee, maybe I met you at Worlds or at Inc. Or at any event, then I'm excited to see you again. And if it's going to be my first time seeing you, it's going to be super cool. This is my first American DLC. Obviously I did Worlds, but not really the same. I had the Inc. event in Baltimore, and that was great to meet a lot of the American community, but this is going to be the big one when it comes to meeting the Americans, so I'm really excited. If you see me walking around and you would like to say hello, please do so. If you would like a photo, if you would like something signed, if you just want a quick chat, do please say so. Like, if I really have to go because I'm doing something, then I will politely say so, but I will absolutely try and arrange to reschedule and catch you at some point. But if I'm just walking the floor and you fancy a chat or something, do please grab me. It will be my honour. But yeah, very excited for this set. But that's going to be it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show your support, and we'll see you soon.